Hello students, welcome to Sri classes. Let us start lecture number 2, acids, bases and salts. Last time we were discussing about the importance of pH in everyday's life. So another couple of points are there to be discussed. After that one we'll start the chemical properties. So let me discuss about another 2 points on importance of pH on everyday's life. So let's have a look at the PPT now. Here the one is the pH 5 and 6. There are 2 points to be discussed here. pH change as the cause of tooth decay, important. In biology chapter also we were discussing, but here also this point has been taken up. As we are studying acids, bases and salt, the acid is the one that is responsible for tooth decay. So dental caries means it is a tooth decay. Why does this tooth decay occur? After eating food, the remains of the food particles may contain sugar. Bacteria present in the mouth will act upon the sugar and they convert them into acids. So if the acidity of the mouth decreases to about 5.5, then this action, the action of acid starts. Meaning, see, the tooth enamel is made up of calcium phosphate, which is the hardest substance in the body. Even though it does not dissolve in water, it is prone to the attack by the acid. Means acid can corrode that one. Corrode means the tooth enamel can erode. Erosion of the tooth enamel occurs, meaning wearing out of the tooth enamel takes place because of the corrosive action of the acid. And therefore, after every meals, if we rinse the mouth properly with water, or even if we use a toothpaste for cleaning, toothpaste being basic in nature, it will nullify the effect of acid and thereby it prevents the tooth decay. So there are 2 things here. What is that is responsible for tooth decay, and second, how do you prevent it? So the bacteria present in the mouth will act upon the sugar of the remains of the food particles and convert them into acids. Once the pH of the acid, once the pH of the mouth is below 5.5, due to corrosive action of the acid, tooth enamel erosion of the tooth enamel takes place and tooth decay starts. In order to avoid that one, rinsing is one solution with water, and another thing is using toothpaste. Being basic in nature, it nullifies, it neutralizes the action of acid. Second thing is self-defense by animals and plants through chemical warfare. See, bees and all, in order to defend themselves, they sting on human beings. The sting contains methanoic acid, which is also called formic acid. Being acid, whenever it enters into a skin, it causes irritation and pain. Mild bases such as baking soda, if it is applied on the stung area, then we can get the relief due to nullifying effect of the acids. Acids and bases will neutralize together to produce salt and water, and therefore we get relief whenever you apply mild baking soda on the stung area. That is one thing. Another thing is, see, here there is a particular leaves which have been shown. These leaves are of the plant called nettle. Nettle is an herbaceous plant, and its leaves contains stinging hairs, which contains again methanoic acid or formic acid in their stung. So stinging hair, if we touch these leaves, the stinging hair stings the skin, and methanoic acid enters into the skin, which causes irritation and pain. So also we must remember here, important thing is nature provides remedies also, neutralization options also. Here the plant will be able to protect by itself by having a stinging hair on the leaves, but also nature provides remedies here. What is that remedy? Near the nettle plant, you may get one more plant called a dock plant, and those leaves will be basic in nature. The moment you apply on the stung area, those leaves, you have to crush the leaf and apply the juice of that leaf over the stung area. Immediately we get the leaf because it will be a basic in nature. That leaf contain bases which will neutralize the effect of acid, and thereby it gives the relief. So these are the two things which I just wanted to explain. You can read in your textbook also, which is given very clearly there. Okay. So after this one, let me see. We'll start with most important part, that is chemical properties of acids and bases. So let's see what is that next. Yeah, these are the chemical properties of acids and bases. How do acids and bases react with metals, and metal carbonates and metal hydrogen carbonates? How do metal carbonates and metal hydrogen carbonates react with acids? How do acids and bases will react, which are neutralization reactions? Reaction of metallic oxides with acids, non-metallic oxides with acids, and what happens to acid or a base in water solution, and what is the dilution process, and what do all acids and all bases have in common? These are the chemical properties, and let us begin with the first one. That means acids and bases, how do they react with metals? Very important, how do they react with metals? So in order to understand that, it is preferable to go through one activity here. Yeah, let me see here. What is this activity which is given in your textbook? Yeah, here reaction of zinc granules with dilute sulfuric acid and testing hydrogen gas by burning. What is this this activity talks about? This activity is related to how do acids react with metals and acid reaction. Here inside this test tube, a few pieces of zinc granules have been taken, over which dilute sulfuric acid is poured into. Slowly you can find the bubbles, formation of some gas, and that gas is evolved through a delivery tube, and that is passed through a soap solution. Whenever that gas is passed through the soap solution, you can find the releasing of bubbles over here, and whenever a matchstick or a candle is brought near that one, the burning matchstick or a candle is brought near them, near to these bubbles, they will burn with a pop sound. They will burn with, these bubbles will burn with a pop sound. The moment I said either a matchstick or a candle burns with a pop sound, you must have already concluded what is the gas that is released, because that we have studied in first chapter also, chemical reactions and equations. So definitely the gas released over here is hydrogen gas. Are you able to understand? Here hydrogen gas is released. Therefore we can say metals and dilute acids. See here we are talking about, when I say acid, these are dilute acids. Please remember, these are dilute acids, because with concentrated acid the reactions may take place in a different way, but we are talking about metals plus dilute acids. So what is the conclusion? Metals reacts with dilute acids to produce or liberate salt and release hydrogen gas. Okay, so this is the conclusion of this experiment, and the test for hydrogen is also demonstrated in this one. So yeah, how do acids and bases react with metals? That is the first question. Let us, I will take up a few more examples to illustrate the action of metals and dilute acids. Okay. First property. Metals plus acids. Here we are talking about dilute acids, that gives us salt plus hydrogen gas. This is the general, we can summarize the reaction of metals with acids in this form. Metals reacts with acid to form salt and liberate hydrogen gas. Important. So which are the metals that react? Let us see some I take few examples here. Some examples will take it. See, sodium, potassium and calcium. All these three reacts with dilute acids, but remember the reaction is explosive in nature. Why it is so? these three metals are on the top of the reactivity series, very active, and therefore the reaction with acids is somewhat explosive in nature. But what are the products formed? Let us see here. Sodium with some acids, I'll take say hydrochloric acid, gives you salt NaCl plus hydrogen gas. This arrow shows hydrogen gas is liberated. In order to balance this one, this is 2 and 2 NaCl. Let us take potassium here. Potassium plus HCl will give you 2 KCl plus hydrogen gas. Here also 2 here and 2. Let us take calcium. Calcium plus sulfuric acid, let us take. Okay. Formation here can be, a salt will be calcium sulfate here, CaSO4, and plus hydrogen gas. Hydrogen gas. Is it clear? These are reactions are highly explosive with acids. So remember here, reaction with sodium, potassium and calcium is highly explosive with acids. These are the products which are formed. What about other metals? Aluminium, zinc, iron, magnesium, all these also react with that one. So let me take few more metals. Aluminium will take, zinc will take, magnesium and iron. All these reacts with acids to produce salt and hydrogen. You must have understood what are these salts. Chlorides, sulfates, nitrates, nitrites, sulfides, all these are called salts basically. Okay. So aluminium, let me take aluminium here. Aluminium and zinc will take. Aluminium plus HCl gives you aluminium chloride AlCl3 plus liberation of hydrogen gas. Balance it 3 HCl. So it is not possible. Therefore, we will take it 6 HCl, 3 H2. So this will be 2 and 2. Is it clear? 2 Al plus 6 HCl gives you 2 AlCl3 plus 3 H2. Is it balanced? 2 Al, 2 Al, 6 chloride, chlorine, 6 chlorine and 3 hydrogen. Yeah, it's correct. 6 hydrogen atoms, 6 hydrogen. Let us take zinc here. Zinc plus H2SO4 will take it. Zinc sulfate is the one. ZnSO4. Zn is 2 plus, sulfate is 2 minus, therefore it is ZnSO4 plus hydrogen gas. Is it balanced? Yes, it is balanced. Let us take magnesium. Magnesium plus hydrochloric acid, let us take it. MgCl2 it is. Mg is 2 plus and chlorine is 1 minus. Therefore, MgCl2 plus hydrogen gas. Balance it. Yeah, 2HCl, MgCl2. Yeah, this is balanced. Iron will take it. Iron plus HCl. Okay. So, you will get FeCl. Fe exhibits here. Fe exhibits here. So, iron will see here. Iron with HCl, what is the product that you can expect here? FeCl2 plus hydrogen gas, and this is 2HCl. Yeah. What is the name of this compound? Whenever iron and copper compounds come, I'll ask you to read those compounds here. What is the name of this compound here? Iron exhibits valency 2 and 3. Here it is iron 2 chloride, I can say. Also it is called ferrous chloride. Okay, I hope you understand that. So these are some of the reactions. Almost I have taken many metals over here in order to illustrate the metals with acids gives salt and hydrogen. And see, interestingly, I'll take few more examples over here and you have to tell me what is that, what happens. Copper, just a moment. Here one more, few more metals I'll write here. Copper, Ag, Au and Pt. What happens to these metals? Would they react with acids, dilute acids? All these are dilute acids, please remember, again I am repeating that. Copper, silver, aluminum and platinum as those elements are present, these metals are present below hydrogen in reactivity series, they will not be able to displace hydrogen from the acids. All these reactions are hydrogen displacement reactions. The more reactive metal would be able to displace the less reactive element. All these sodium, potassium, calcium, aluminum, zinc, magnesium, iron, these are above hydrogen in the reactivity series, and hence they would be able to displace hydrogen from the acids. Whereas copper, silver, Au, Pt, these being below hydrogen, they will not be able to displace hydrogen, hence these will not react with acid. So no reaction with acids. No reaction with acids. Okay, this is one more point. And see here, some of these reactions are used in the laboratories for the manufacturing of hydrogen gases, but these three reactions are never carried out in the laboratories because of the formation of because of the highly explosive in nature, whereas some of these can be used for the production of hydrogen gas in laboratories. Okay, so in the first case, in the first property, that is how do metals react with acids and bases, we have seen part A, that is metals reacts with acids to produce salt and hydrogen. Is it clear? Now I am taking how do metals reacts with bases and what is the result of that one. Okay, I hope you have understood these things. Next I will take in this case part B. Metals. In the first reaction itself, metals, first property we are studying, plus bases. When I say bases, generally it refers to alkalis, because we are studying only the water soluble bases for reaction with metals over here. Alkalis gives you here also salt plus hydrogen gas. Metals reacts with bases to give salt plus hydrogen. But only here the difference is, here is not all metals will react. Not all metals will react with bases. So only few metals will react. Only few metals will react with bases, and these are only few metals. These are aluminum and zinc. Aluminum and zinc. So what are the reactions that they form with bases? Let us take. So first one, let us take aluminum plus sodium hydroxide. It is a base here. Sodium hydroxide gives you NaAlO2 plus hydrogen gas. Plus hydrogen gas. Let us balance this one. NaAlO2, it will be 2NaOH, and therefore NaAlO2 2 here. Yes, it is balanced. What is the name of this compound? This is called sodium aluminate. This compound is called sodium aluminate. So aluminum reacts with alkali. It is a base here. Sodium hydroxide is also called caustic caustic soda, and sodium not caustic potash. It is a caustic soda. Caustic potash is potassium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide is a base here. Aluminum reacts with sodium hydroxide to form sodium aluminate and liberates hydrogen gas. Another example, let us take here zinc. Zinc plus sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide, will take it. Potassium hydroxide. Let me write a little bit down here. Zinc plus KOH gives you zinc plus potassium hydroxide gives you potassium zincate, K2ZnO2 plus hydrogen gas. potassium zincate, here Zn, okay, this is 2, yeah, it is balanced, 2K, 2K, 2 oxygen, 2 oxygen, 2 hydrogen, 2 hydrogen, 1 zinc, K2ZnO2, and this compound is called potassium zincate. Let us take one more example now. Aluminium plus KOH, or zinc plus sodium hydroxide will take, zinc plus NaOH, okay. This is sodium zincate, Na2ZnO2 plus hydrogen gas, okay. Here it is 2 NaOH, Na2ZnO2, it is balanced. This is called sodium zincate, sodium zincate. These are few of the reactions where the metals and bases react to produce salt and hydrogen gas, isn't it? So we have seen aluminum, zinc, how do they react with sodium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide. The common name for these things is sodium hydroxide is caustic soda, and common name for potassium hydroxide is caustic potash. Caustic potash. Now, as only few metals reacts with bases, these metals, aluminum and zinc, which reacts with both acids and bases, are called amphoteric metals. So here I'll write amphoteric metals. What do you mean by amphoteric metals? Metals which react with both acids and bases are called amphoteric metals. So examples, many times the question comes on this one. Give the examples for amphoteric metals. Aluminum and zinc. Aluminum and zinc both react with acids as well as bases. To produce what? To produce salt and hydrogen gas, liberate hydrogen gas. So everywhere we saw here, all the reactions can be summarized to these two. Metals plus acids gives you salt plus hydrogen, and metals plus bases gives you salt plus hydrogen. Okay. So I hope you have understood. Let me direct you to the PPT from which you have to make the notes. So in this one, the first one, how do acids and bases react with metals? This is what we studied. First case, metals with acids. When I say acids, please remember again dilute acids. All these chemical reactions you have to note. And here some important notes have been written which I discussed already. You can note down these things. I hope you have noted down. Yeah. Metals with bases, metals plus gives salt plus hydrogen. This is the general representation of these reactions. And you can note down all these reactions. Very important. Many students will fail to write these reactions. Important is the formation of sodium zincate, potassium zincate and sodium aluminate whenever these metals reacts with bases. And finally we have written here amphoteric metals. Aluminum and zinc are amphoteric metals. Okay, fine, note down. And then we'll go to the next property. How do metal carbonates and metal hydrogen carbonates react with acids? For this, let me take through one activity. Here, this is, I hope you are able to see this very clearly, the diagram here. Now, second property is how do metal carbonates and metal bicarbonates react with acids? Metal bicarbonates are also called metal hydrogen carbonates, like sodium hydrogen carbonate or sodium bicarbonate, sodium carbonate, calcium carbonate, zinc carbonate. How do these metal carbonates or metal bicarbonates react with acids and bases also? Of course, here it's only discussed with acids. Of course, there is no reaction with bases. But anyway, how do metal carbonates and metal bicarbonates react with acids? When I say bicarbonates, the meaning is hydrogen carbonates, because hydrogen carbonates are also called bicarbonates. Okay. Here there is one activity here. See, sodium carbonate, few grams of sodium carbonate is taken in a test tube, and through thistle funnel dilute hydrochloric acid is poured into that one, and after some time we will see some evolution of bubbles. These bubbles will go through the delivery tube, and here calcium hydroxide solution is taken in a test tube, and this delivery tube is immersed into the calcium hydroxide solution. Observation here is this calcium hydroxide solution, which is also called a lime solution, this turns milky over here. So the moment I said milky, probably you must have understood what is the nature of the gas that is evolved. That is carbon dioxide. CO2 turns lime water milky over here. So that is one observation. Second is, how do metal carbonates and bicarbonates react basically? Here, instead of sodium carbonate, even if I take sodium bicarbonate, the same CO2 will be evolved and it will turn the lime water milky because of the formation of calcium carbonate. Okay, carbon dioxide reacts with calcium hydroxide to form white precipitation of calcium carbonate, and therefore it turns the lime water milky here. So, two conclusions. Evolution of CO2 gas takes place when metal reacts with metal carbonates and metal hydrogen carbonates react with acids, and CO2 test is it turns lime water milky. So these are the reactions which you have to see. Here we have taken only sodium carbonate or the sodium hydrogen carbonate, but we will carry out the reactions with few more metals also. Okay, so let us start that one now. Second reaction, second chemical property, metal carbonate plus acid gives you salt plus CO2, brisk effervescence of CO2 is produced, plus water. This is the summary of the reaction. Similarly, metal hydrogen carbonate which is also called bicarbonate, these reacts with acid to produce salt, liberation of CO2, which is the brisk effervescence of CO2 is produced, plus water. So the summary of this reaction is both metal carbonates as well as metal hydrogen carbonates react with acids to produce salt, CO2 and water. So let us take few examples over here. Let's take the few examples. Just a moment. Let me take few examples of this thing. Sodium carbonate and calcium carbonate will take with HCl. First we'll take metal carbonates, Na2CO3 plus HCl, hydrochloric acid, gives you salt NaCl plus CO2 gas plus water. CO2 gas is liberated. Let us balance it. 2 NaCl, therefore this is 2 HCl, 2 NaCl, H2O, CO2. It is balanced. So here it is the brisk effervescence of CO2 is observed. The meaning of brisk effervescence is sudden evolution of gas is termed as brisk effervescence. So let me take one more, sodium carbonate, calcium carbonate, CaCO3 plus HCl. Later on we will balance CaCl2 plus CO2 gas plus water. So let us try to balance it. CO2, this is 2, it is balanced. Calcium chloride carbon dioxide plus water. And let us take some metal hydrogen carbonates. These are metal carbonates. Now let us take metal bicarbonates. Metal bicarbonates and acids, dilute acids. Sodium bicarbonate, NaHCO3. Please remember, NaHCO3 is called sodium hydrogen carbonate or sodium bicarbonate plus hydrochloric acid gives you NaCl plus CO2 plus H2O. Let us balance it. H2O, CO2, NaCl. It is balanced. Calcium bicarbonate, CaHCO3 twice, because HCO3 is carbonate ion. The valency of carbonate ion, HCO3 is bicarbonate ion. The valency of bicarbonate ion is -1. Sodium is +1. Therefore, NaHCO3. In case of calcium bicarbonate, Ca is 2 plus and HCO3 is 1 minus, and therefore this is CaHCO3 twice. Okay, calcium bicarbonate here. Okay, plus HCl gives you CaCl2 plus CO2 plus water. Let us balance it. Here H2O, it's okay, CO2, 2 CO2, and here 2 HCl, CaCl2. Yeah, it is balanced, I think. Let's check it. How many oxygen? 3 2s are 6 oxygen. 2 2 4 plus 2 and 2. Now it is balanced. 6 4 plus 2, 6 oxygen, hydrogen 4, 2 hydrogen, 2 hydrogen 4, 2 carbon, 2 chlorine. Yeah, it is balanced. So calcium bicarbonate plus 2 HCl gives you calcium chloride plus CO2 plus H2O. So all, instead of HCl, you can also take sulfuric acid. Say for example, let me take one example over here. NaHCO3 plus H2SO4 gives you sodium sulfate, Na2SO4 plus CO2 plus water. Let us try to balance it. Na2 here, therefore this is 2 CO2, 2 CO2. Yeah, I think it is balanced. Let us check the oxygen. 3 2s are 6 plus 4, 10. 4 4 2. Hydrogen 2 plus 2, 4. Yeah, it is balanced. So you can take either hydrochloric acid or sulfuric acid. These are the reactions where metal carbonates reacts with acid to produce salt, CO2 and water, and metal hydrogen carbonates reacts with acid to produce salt, CO2 and water. Okay, not hydrogen, salt, CO2 and water, please. Okay, I think I said you hydrogen, it is not. Metal carbonates and metal hydrogen carbonates both reacts with acid to produce brisk effervescence of carbon dioxide gas, and salt and water are formed. Okay, this is very clear. Now let us try to write the chemical reactions for the evolution of the gas, that is the test for the gas. So what is the test for CO2 gas? I hope you have understood these reactions. Let me write the reactions for test for CO2, which is evolved during the reaction of metal carbonates or bicarbonates with dilute acids. So what is the test for CO2? It is very important. Every time a 2-mark question comes, explain the test for CO2. See here. Whenever carbon dioxide gas is passed through lime water, which is a calcium hydroxide solution, the lime water turns milky due to formation of calcium carbonate. If excess CO2 gas is passed through the same, then calcium carbonate will get converted into calcium bicarbonate, which is soluble in water, and therefore it becomes colorless. That means, once again I'll repeat this test. When CO2 gas passes, when the CO2 gas is passed through lime water, it turns lime water milky. If excess CO2 gas is passed, then the milkiness disappears, and due to formation of calcium bicarbonate, which is soluble in water. So these reactions, I'll write it here. First one, calcium hydroxide solution plus CO2 gives you CaCO3 calcium carbonate plus water. Let us balance it. Ca2, it is balanced. Calcium carbonate plus oxygen 2 here, 2 plus 2 4, 3 plus 1 4, hydrogen 2, calcium 1, calcium 1. It is balanced. So why is that calcium hydroxide solution turned milky? That it turns milky due to formation of precipitation, that is white precipitation of calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate is also called marble or chalk. Marble or chalk, these are the different forms of calcium carbonate, or also it is called limestone. Remember, all this marble is white, chalk powder is white, limestone is white, isn't it? These are the different forms of calcium carbonate. Here calcium hydroxide solution turns white, that is milky, it turns lime water milky because of the formation of the precipitation of calcium carbonate, which is white in color. What happens if excess calcium carbonate, if excess CO2 is passed? CaCO3 plus water plus CO2, excess CO2 if it is passed, you can find CaHCO3 twice, which is nothing but calcium bicarbonate. And this is soluble in water. And therefore milkiness disappears. Here it is white PPT. If excess CO2 gas is passed, then milkiness disappears due to formation of calcium bicarbonate that dissolves in water, and the solution turns colorless. Colorless means the milkiness disappears. So this is what we saw, the second chemical property, that is reaction of carbonates, metal carbonates and bicarbonates with acids, and also the test for evolution of CO2 gas. In all these cases, please remember, the brisk effervescence of CO2 is observed. The meaning of brisk effervescence is vigorous evolution of gas. I hope you have understood. So I'll direct you to the PPT and note down the chemical reactions. Here it is, the activity is explained, which was given in your textbook. Also please note down all these reactions. Here at the end I have written the brisk effervescence of CO2. What is brisk effervescence? Rapid or vigorous evolution of gas. Okay, please note down. And one more slide is there, from which you have to note down the test for CO2. This one, and next one more slide, the test for CO2 gas. All this completely, all these things you have to note it down. You can pause the video to note down. Next chemical property. See here, activity 2.6 is given. And what is this activity 2.6? Let me explain to you. We are taking 2 ml of sodium hydroxide solution in a test tube. In one test tube, take about 2 ml of sodium hydroxide solution and add 2 drops of phenolphthalein solution. Sodium hydroxide solution is basic in nature. The moment you add phenolphthalein, in neutral condition the phenolphthalein is colorless. In basic solution it turns to pink, and therefore the moment you add few drops of phenolphthalein, it turns pink. The solution turns pink. What is the color of the solution? Pink. Add dilute hydrochloric acid solution to the above solution drop by drop. For that solution, if you add, go on adding drop by drop dilute hydrochloric acid, the pink turns back to colorless. What is the reason? HCl being hydrochloric acid being acidic in nature, it will neutralize the effect of bases. It will neutralize the effect of bases, and therefore the solution in acidic medium turns colorless, and therefore for NaOH, if we add hydrochloric acid, again it will the solution will become neutral, and in neutral condition phenolphthalein is colorless. Therefore the pink becomes colorless. Now you add once again sodium hydroxide solution, few drops of sodium hydroxide solution to the same, again the pink color reappears. So what is the effect of this entire experiment or the activity that we did here? Here we can conclude that the acids and bases will get neutralized together, or acid will neutralize the effect of base and vice versa, meaning the bases will also neutralize the effect of acids, which can be observed by the change of color of the phenolphthalein here, isn't it? So let me write the next reaction, the reaction between acids and bases. For every chemical property there is an activity, and you must go through the activity, because you will be asked to describe the activities and write the answer sometimes. So this is the third chemical property. How do acids and bases reacts? Acids plus bases gives you salt and water, salt plus water, and this reaction is termed as neutralization reaction. This reaction is termed as neutralization reaction. Okay, some examples can we take here? Let us take examples. Acid, hydrochloric acid plus sodium hydroxide, whichever we conducted in the, we took the samples in the activities. These are the chemicals that we took in the activities, and the same reaction we try to write here. Formation of salt is NaCl plus water. Let us try to balance it. H, 2H, 1 oxygen, 1 Na, 1 Cl. It is balanced. Let me take another one. Sulfuric acid, H2SO4 plus potassium hydroxide. Let us see what is this one you will get. Potassium sulfate, K2SO4 plus water. Is it balanced? 2 KOH. So hydrogen 2, oxygen 1 here, sulfate ion, and 2 potassium. Yeah, 2 hydrogen. Just a moment. Let me write here. Let's balance it. 2 plus 2, 4. 2 plus 2, 4. 4 plus 2 oxygen. 4 plus 2 oxygen. It is balanced. So sulfuric acid plus potassium hydroxide gives you potassium sulfate plus water. Isn't it? Any other reaction? Acids and bases put together. You can take also calcium hydroxide or magnesium hydroxide. Let me take CaOH2. Here it is a base, calcium hydroxide plus HCl, hydrochloric acid. We expect to form calcium chloride, CaCl2 plus water. Let us try to balance. CaCl2 is 2 here and 2 H2. So 2 oxygen, 4 hydrogen and 2 chlorine, CaCl2. This is the reaction. Any other reaction? You can take calcium hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide plus H2SO4, sulfuric acid will take it. So magnesium sulfate plus water, MgSO4. See, magnesium is 2 plus and sulfate is also 2 minus, and therefore MgSO4 is formed. MgSO4 plus water. I think this should be 2 here. Yeah, 2 hydrogen, 4 hydrogen, 2 oxygen plus 4 oxygen, 6 oxygen, 4 plus 2, 6, 1 Mg, 1S. Yes, it is formed. So all these are the reactions which are neutralization reactions, and everywhere you can see formation of a salt and water. Sodium chloride is a salt, potassium sulfate, calcium chloride, magnesium sulfate. All these are the salts along with formation of the water takes place. So remember neutralization reaction, acids and bases reacts with acids and bases together react to produce salt and water. Here also please remember when I say acids, all these are dilute acids, very important. Okay. One more thing. Now one small reaction mechanism we have to see. It's not actually a mechanism. How do this neutralization reaction takes place? Let me try to explain that one. How do these reactions take place? We'll see. Sodium hydroxide plus HCl. See here. How do neutralization reaction takes place? This is what we are going to study now. Hydrochloric acid will split into H plus ions plus chloride ions. Similarly, sodium hydroxide will split into Na plus plus OH minus ions. OH minus ions. Okay. Now here Na plus this Cl, here I will write HCl plus NaOH. NaOH gives you, remember, Na plus Cl minus gives you NaCl, sodium chloride. What about H plus OH minus? Hydroxide ion plus H plus ions. H plus OH minus gives you H2O. Is it right? And therefore, if I add these things, what is that I will get here? Na plus Cl minus plus H plus OH minus. And therefore, this once again can be written as HCl plus NaOH gives you sodium chloride, NaCl, and these two gives you H2O, water. So this is the reaction. This is the way the individual alkalis as well as acids will split into respective ions, and reformation of the products are formed. Formation of the products are formed by rejoining of these ions. So this is how the neutralization reaction takes place, and you can expect a question on this also. That means explain how the neutralization reaction takes place, giving some example. So you can give the HCl with sodium hydroxide, and this is how you can explain the reaction. Okay. I hope you have understood. You will be directed to the PPT for making the notes. Here you can see acid and base. Acid plus base gives you a salt and water. It is a neutralization reaction. Note down these reactions. Also, how neutralization reaction takes place. Whatever that I explained, those things have been written over here, and note down. This activity you need not note down, but you have to read quite frequently in your textbook and try to conclude the observations of the activities that have been given in your textbook. Okay. Next, let us see. Yeah. Here, next we are going to see next property, metallic oxides plus acids. How do metal oxides react with acids? And very important conclusion we are going to draw it. This is the next property. How do metal oxides react with acids? One small activity, activity 2.7, take a small amount of copper oxide in a beaker. What is the color of the copper oxide? Copper oxide plus hydrogen gas. If you pass hydrogen gas over heated copper oxide, which you studied in first chapter, chemical equations and reactions, black colored copper oxide will turn to reddish brown copper due to reduction of copper oxide to copper, isn't it? So we are talking about that copper oxide over here. Take a small amount of copper oxide which is black in color in a beaker and add dilute hydrochloric acid slowly while stirring. Note the color of the solution. What has happened to the copper oxide? So let me write the chemical reaction on the board and explain the activity 2.7. So activity 2.7, we are taking in a beaker copper oxide, CuO. See, copper exhibits 2 valency. Cu is 2 plus, oxygen is 2 minus. If I exchange, this is Cu2O2, which is nothing but CuO, and copper exhibits which valencies 1 and 2. This is higher valency, therefore this is called cupric oxide. I hope you have understood. So cupric oxide plus HCl, dilute HCl, gives you what? A salt. A salt has to be formed, that is CuCl2 plus water. What is the name of CuCl2? First let us identify the name. Here I said this is cupric oxide because it exhibits, copper exhibits 1 and 2 valency. Here also this is copper is 2 valency, copper 2 chloride here, or it is also called cupric chloride. Cupric chloride and water. See, cupric oxide dissolves in hydrochloric acid and the color of the solution turns to be bluish green. What is given in your book? Blue green color. Here this is the formation of cupric chloride. Cupric chloride, and the color is blue green. This is the color which is observed, and cupric chloride is soluble in water, and therefore this entire solution is blue green color. Blue green color. This is the result of the activity. In that activity, cupric oxide we took, metal oxide, and hydrochloric acid, which is dilute, gives you a solution of cupric chloride which is blue green in color. These are the products formed. And here, very interestingly, this is a metal oxide and this is acid here. See, I am writing, what is that I am writing here? Let us see. This is acid. Here this is salt, and here this is water. Salt plus water. Last reaction we saw, salt plus water is the result of neutralization reaction. Is it not? Acids plus bases react to form salt plus water. Here acid is already there, so can we have a base here? Base plus acid gives you salt plus water. It is exactly what this reaction takes place. So cupric oxide acts like a base here, which reacts with dilute acid to produce salt, cupric chloride and water. And this is the summary of the reaction of metal oxides with dilute acids. And therefore, can I conclude that metal oxides are basic in nature, and these are also called basic oxides. I hope you are able to understand. This is exactly equal to the neutralization reaction. Acid already we have taken HCl, and therefore cupric oxide behaves like a base over here, and therefore base reacts with acid to form salt and water. Hence we can conclude that metallic oxides which react with acid to produce salt and water, such metallic oxides are called basic oxides, or also we can say those are basic in nature. Understood? Therefore, one important conclusion over here, what did we conclude here? Metal oxides are basic in nature. This is the important thing. And how did we arrive at this conclusion? This is based on the reaction between metallic oxides and acids, which gives you salt and water, which is equivalent to a neutralization reaction. So let me write the general formula for metallic oxides with acids. What is the general, you can summarize the reaction to metal oxides plus acids gives you salt and water. So in this reaction, metal oxides plus acid gives you salt plus water. And important thing, metal oxides are basic in nature. I hope you have understood why those are basic in nature, because bases and acids react together to form a salt and water, which is the neutralization reaction. Here also this is equivalent to a neutralization reaction. Hence we conclude that metallic oxides are basic in nature. Very important thing. Okay. So which examples can we take here? I'll take 2 or 3 examples over here. Metallic oxides. Already we have seen copper oxide, cupric oxide and hydrochloric acid. Let me take another 2 examples over here. This is sodium oxide plus sulfuric acid. Sodium oxide. How do you write the formula of sodium oxide? Na2O. Sodium is 1 plus, oxygen is 2 minus, and therefore if I exchange, this is Na2O. Therefore this is called sodium oxide. Sodium oxide plus, let me take this reaction with sulfuric acid. Which is sulfuric acid, gives you sodium sulfate, Na2SO4 plus water. Let us try to balance it. Na2SO4 H2O. It is balanced. One more reaction I'll take with something like calcium oxide with nitric acid. Calcium oxide, Ca is a 2 plus, oxygen is 2 minus. So if we exchange Ca2O2, which is nothing but CaO here. So calcium oxide is CaO plus HNO3, nitric acid. See, HNO3 is called nitric acid. Nitric acid gives you calcium nitrate plus water, CaNO3 twice plus water, calcium nitrate plus water. See here, calcium, this is called calcium nitrate. If you check the valency chart which I have provided already, Ca is 2 plus and NO3 is 1 minus, and therefore this is CaNO3 twice, calcium nitrate, which you can exchange it over here. And this is a polyatomic ion, basically a group of atoms that carry charge are called polyatomic ions. All these are called radicals also. So calcium oxide reacts with nitric acid to form calcium nitrate plus water. And here also it is a salt and water, which is equal to neutralization reaction. Therefore we can generally conclude that all metallic oxides are basic in nature. Is it clear? So we saw the reaction of metallic oxides with acids. Next reaction is non-metallic oxides with bases. Very important, non-metallic oxides with bases we'll see. First I will direct you to the PPT, note down the notes, and then we'll go to the next this thing. Here it is explained. Activity, the observation here you can see cupric oxide dissolves in dilute HCl solution and turns blue-green due to formation of cupric chloride. And these are neutralization reactions, hence metal oxides are basic in nature. Generally a question comes, why metallic oxides are bases, and what is that you have to explain? Use some metal oxides, use the general formula for representation of metallic oxide plus acid gives salt and water equivalent to neutralization reaction, and therefore acids have been taken. These metallic oxides behave like a basis, and hence we can see that these are basic in nature. Okay, I hope it's very clear. Please note on these things. Okay, next reaction. Yeah, the reaction of non-metallic oxides with base. Let me take here, write it on the board. Next is non-metallic oxides, plus bases gives you, non-metallic oxides plus bases gives you a salt and water. salt plus water. See, you must be aware of acid rains. How do these acid rains are caused? Whenever we burn fossil fuels such as coal, petroleum, etc., small amounts of nitrogen, small amounts of carbon, small amounts of sulfur present in them will get converted to oxides. So sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, similarly nitrogen dioxide, nitric oxide, dinitrogen oxide, all these non-metal oxides, when they are liberated into the atmosphere, they will mix up with rainwater and they dissolve, and then they produce acids, which is called acid rain. So important thing is these non-metallic oxides, these non-metallic oxides cause acid rains, isn't it? So there itself, can I conclude that non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature? Yes, I can conclude that. So how to remember that non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature? Sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide, nitrogen dioxide, nitrogen trioxide, or dinitrogen oxide, or carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide, they dissolve in rainwater to form acids. Sulfurous acid, sulfuric acid, nitrous acid, nitric acid, carbonic acid, these are the acids formed by non-metallic oxides. Thereby also I can conclude that non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature, is it not? They behave like acids basically. And therefore here also I can conclude, very important, non-metallic oxides, when they react with bases, they produce salt and water. Production of a salt and water is a result of neutralization reaction. Hence I can compare this to the neutralization reaction also. Therefore, if I have taken already the bases, then here it can be acid plus base gives you a salt plus water, and which is a neutralization reaction. And therefore we can conclude that non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature, or I will say non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature. Okay, examples will take it, non-metallic oxides and bases. Which example? Carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, I will take carbon dioxide with sodium hydroxide, CO2, and one base I will take sodium hydroxide. What is the formation you can expect over here? It should be a salt and a water here. So can I expect here a salt will be Na2CO3 plus water. Okay, this is a base here, and Na2CO3, balance it to NaOH. So CO, 1O has come, H2O. It is balanced. So CO2 plus 2NaOH gives you Na2CO3, which is sodium carbonate plus water. Sodium carbonate is a salt here. Sodium carbonate is a salt and water. Is it not a neutralization reaction? Production of a salt and water is a result of neutralization reaction. Already I have taken base here, and therefore I can conclude that this acts like a acid. So non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature. So acid plus base gives you salt plus water. And one more example I will take, CO2 plus sodium hydroxide, along with this one calcium hydroxide will take, CaOH twice. What is that you can expect here? Calcium carbonate, CaCO3 plus water. Is it balanced? Ca, 2 hydrogen, CaCO3, 2 plus 2, 4, 3 plus 1, 4, 2 hydrogen, yeah, it is balanced. Carbon dioxide plus calcium hydroxide gives you calcium carbonate plus water. Sulfur dioxide, let us take one more example. Sulfur dioxide plus base, you can take CaOH twice, calcium hydroxide, gives you calcium sulfate. This reaction, mark it, it is very important. In the beginning, the product of this calcium hydroxide with sulfur dioxide is basically formation of calcium sulfite. It is not calcium sulfate, CaSO3, it will be CaSO3, calcium sulfite. CaSO3 plus water. This is called calcium sulfite. Calcium sulfite, which is a salt and water. Is it balanced? Yes, O. One O has come here, OH2. It is balanced. So these are the reactions of non-metallic oxides with bases, and all these reactions behave like neutralization reactions, where you can observe the production of salt and water, and definitely we have bases over here, and therefore we can conclude that these behave like acids, and hence we can conclude non-metallic oxides are basic in nature. So in the last two reactions, metal oxides with acids and non-metallic oxides with bases, we concluded two important conclusions, that is non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature, and non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature, and metallic oxides are basic in nature. Okay, so here just a moment, I think you can note down calcium sulfite. You can note down these reactions which will be directed to the PPT here. Okay, fine. So let's see in the next one, what is the next reaction? Acid base in water. Yeah, I think I have to explain here itself, which is very important. Okay, dear students, just I would like to summarize what we studied so far. How do acids and bases, how do metals react with acids? How do metals react with bases? How do acids and bases react, which is neutralization reaction? And how these metal carbonates react with acids? How do metal bicarbonates react with acids? And remember, metal carbonates and bicarbonates do not react with bases. There are some exceptions. In general, in this entire textbook, reaction of metal carbonates and bicarbonates with bases is not discussed, meaning metal carbonates and metal hydrogen carbonates or metal bicarbonates do not react with bases. They react with only acids to produce salt, brisk effervescence of carbon dioxide and water. So please remember, carbonates or bicarbonates do not react with bases. Okay, so these, and finally, how do metal oxides react with acids, and how do non-metal oxides react with bases? These are the things which we have studied. And let us take up what happens to an acid or a base in a water solution. Very important. See here, interestingly, okay, let us take one activity which is given in 2.9. In order to understand what happens to an acid or a base in water, let us study what happens to acid first through this activity, and what happens to base I will explain. What happens to acid through this activity we will study. In this test tube, few grams of sodium chloride is taken. Sulfuric acid is added by drop wise. Exothermic reaction. Anyway, a pair of tongs have been used to hold this properly. Sodium chloride plus sulfuric acid gives you sodium sulfate plus hydrogen chloride. Here hydrogen chloride is a gas. Are you able to understand? The reaction between sodium chloride and sulfuric acid gives you sodium sulfate and hydrogen chloride gas. Here you can find the evolution of the hydrogen chloride gas. Here the cork is fitted and the hydrogen chloride gas is evolved, and it is coming out of the delivery tube. Now, this hydrogen chloride gas which is coming out, for which we are holding a blue colored dry litmus paper. Whenever the hydrogen chloride gas comes out, take a blue colored dry litmus paper and bring near the hydrogen chloride gas. Observe. See if there is any color change. Next time, remove that paper and take a moist blue litmus paper. What is that? A moist blue litmus paper. You bring near the hydrogen chloride gas at the end of the test tube. In the first case, when the litmus paper was dry, we did not observe any color change. Whereas when a moist blue litmus paper was brought near hydrogen chloride gas, immediately the blue litmus paper turned red. It showed a color change. Why it is so? That is the reason we are studying now what happens to acids when it comes in contact with water. Here, the main important conclusion is water is a solvent. Whenever hydrogen chloride gas is coming in contact with water, water would be able to split hydrogen chloride gas into H plus ions and chloride ions. Are you able to understand? H plus ions are responsible for acidic property, and blue litmus paper will turn red in the presence of acid. So I hope you have understood. Once again, when you bring the dry litmus paper to the hydrogen chloride gas, there is no change in the color observed, whereas if you bring a moist litmus paper near the hydrogen chloride gas, it turns red. Why it turns red? When hydrogen chloride gas comes into contact with water present in the moist litmus paper, it is dissociated into ions, H plus ions and chloride ions. H plus ions are responsible for acidic properties. So the blue litmus turns red in acids. This is how the observation is recorded. So observation I have written here, observation of the activity. Dry HCl does not show acidic property because H plus ions it is not dissociated into ions at all. Are you able to understand? Dry hydrogen gas, there is no scope for dihydrogen chloride gas to produce H plus ions. Only when it comes into contact with water, water being a polar solvent and also having high dielectric constant, it would be able to break down hydrogen chloride into respective hydrogen and chloride ions. Whenever H plus ions are released, those are responsible for showing the acidic property, and therefore the moist blue litmus paper will turn red here. This conclusion we have written here. So question is, what happens to an acid when it is brought in contact with water? That is what we will see. Next one. Yeah, here. Important, very important. Acid plus water, base plus water. What happens? I'll explain on the board here so that you'll be able to remember also. Now, what happens to the acids in water? Let us see. First one, acid plus water. Here, okay. Remember, acids produce H plus ions in water. H plus ions being unstable react with water to form H3O plus ions, which are called hydronium ions. Hydronium ions. And H plus ions or hydronium ions are responsible for acidic property or showing the acidic property. Similarly, second one, base with water. Whenever we bring base with water, important, these bases will release base. When I say here, I talk about alkali basically. Alkali is nothing but water soluble base. So what is this bases produce? Base, they produce hydroxide ions. These are called hydroxide ions in water. They release hydroxide ions in water. These are the things which is important. So whenever acid is brought in contact with water, acid produces hydrogen ions. In turn, hydronium ions are produced, and bases will produce hydroxide ions. And therefore, in the beginning itself, when we studied the definition of acids and bases, acids are the substances which produce H plus ions as the only cations in aqueous solutions, whereas bases are the substances which produce hydroxide ions are the only anions in aqueous solutions. Isn't it? This is. And some examples, let us take it. Which example? See here. For acids, I am giving you some example. HCl. In the presence of water, HCl will give H plus ions Cl minus ions. Therefore, HCl plus water gives you H3O plus ions plus Cl minus ions. Why this one? H plus will react with water to form hydronium ions. So if I write the reactions of HCl plus water, then hydronium ion plus chloride ions are that means HCl will dissociate into respective ions, and H plus will combine with water to form hydronium plus chloride ions here. So this is the reaction of acid with water. Now I will take one more example over here. Sodium hydroxide, NaOH. Okay, in the presence of water, what is that you will get here? Sodium Na2 plus hydroxide ions. You got it? These are called hydroxide ions. So Mg OH twice, it will give you in the presence of water 2 Mg 2 plus hydroxide ions 2 OH minus ions. Are you able to understand here? Not 2 Mg, only Mg. Mg 2 plus here, only 1 Mg, 1 Mg, 2 hydroxide, 2 hydroxide. Mg is 2 plus ion, hydroxide is 1 minus 1 with this. This is how. Calcium hydroxide, CaOH twice in the presence of water gives you Ca2 plus ions plus 2 hydroxide ions. 2 hydroxide ions. I hope you are able to understand all these reactions. So all these bases are releasing hydroxide ions as the only negatively charged ions, which are also called anions in aqueous solutions. In aqueous solutions means water is taken as a solvent over here. So how do what happens to acids and bases in water? Acids will release H plus ions, bases will release hydroxide ions. Is it clear? This is what we have studied. One more small thing here. Whenever we talk about bases, couple of properties also you must know for bases. Similar to acids, bases are also corrosive in nature. Those are bitter in taste and also soapy to touch. Soapy to touch. Important. These are the points here. What are the properties of bases? Those are bitter in taste and those are highly corrosive in nature. For example, caustic soda, caustic soda, sodium hydroxide, if you pour sodium hydroxide solution on your skin, definitely it will lead to a burning action. Basically, you feel very irritated, so it causes the irritation on your skin, and therefore bases also have corrosive action. They are bitter in taste and also soapy to touch. These are additional properties with respect to bases. Anything is left over here? Yeah. What happens to acids or bases in water solution? You remember last year there was a question represent in a chemical equation form what happens to acids in water. This was a question, so I request you to note down from the PPT. This one, what happens to acid or base. So please note down all these reactions, and some more characteristics of alkalis which I discussed on the board have been written here. Note down all these contents. So dear students, so far in a nutshell, whatever that we have done, I would like to summarize it. We studied we are studying the chemical properties. In that one, how do metals react with acids, how do metals react with bases, how do metal carbonates and bicarbonates react with acids. Metal carbonates or bicarbonates do not react with bases, please remember. How do metallic oxides react with acids, and how do non-metallic oxides react with bases, and finally what happens when acids and bases they come into contact with water, we have seen. Next property is the dilution process and what is common in both acids and bases. These are the two chemical properties which are left. I will be taking in my next lecture. So let us end the session over here. Thank you for watching.